When I was 7, I went hunting with my dad for the first time. I was quite excited and had a lot of confidence in my ability to take care of myself out there. I'd spent a great deal of time and effort honing my skills up to that point. Whether it was lighting fires, hiking through rough forest terrain, or even sitting quietly, I was well practiced and eager to get at it. My dad and I had spent the first day hunting around Bear Lake and the surrounding ponds. Towards the end of the day, we were walking back to the camp, and my dad told me that he was going to take one last look around Bear Lake. He also told me to head back up the road and sit at the camp. Being the anxious to prove myself kind of kid that I was, I agreed. And I started the short trek back to the camp. Before long, I began to see the blue tarp of the cook tent. I started to gather kindling for the fire and soon had a cozy little inferno all to myself. Darkness fell quickly in the tall, foreboding birch trees. I was confident, proud even, in my skills as an outdoorsman. But there was absolutely nothing I could have done to prepare myself for the primal loneliness and fear I had that night in the dark. I sat there next to my small but reassuring fire for what seemed like hours, but in reality it was probably closer to half of 1 hour. Just waiting and hoping that those crackles and pops I was hearing were only coming from the fire and not from some unknown beast of ambiguous size. I contemplated running back towards the lake to be with my dad, but I quickly had to remove that idea from my head. If I was scared here by my little fire, I sure would not last long running down the path in the complete dark. I was alone and I was afraid. I had thought that I would be able to handle the challenge such as this all on my own. I had to continually reassure myself that I could not run after my dad. He had told me to stay at camp, and I knew that I had to listen to him. But on the other hand, I thought that if I ran after him, then maybe I'd find him, and I would no longer have to face the dark on my own. It was a compelling argument, but God clearly knew what needed to happen, because I sat there contemplating for so long that my dad had already returned before I came to a decision. If I had taken things into my own hands and run after my dad, things might have gone far worse for me. That has been a theme for me throughout my life. When I strive on my own to achieve things, I always end up in more trouble than what I set out to solve. It was not long after that first hunting trip that I was diagnosed with my disease, EOE, or eosinophilic esophagitis. It's kind of a mouthful. I again felt like I was alone in the dark. I was scared, and I was scared for many reasons. I didn't want to accept that my case was different from so many others, and yet there were certain areas where I simply could not cover up those differences. I was scared that people might treat me differently just because of the disease. I was scared that I would always be plagued or tormented by the disease. And perhaps most significantly of all, I was scared that I would be defined by it. For many years, I was in that same place. I was just a scared child sitting in the dark, overwhelmed and controlled by my fear. I'm in a much better place with that disease now, and I'm convinced that it's because of each and every one of you and the support that you've given me. The prayers and the encouragement poured out to me in my times of need have been a true help. I am forever grateful for the relationships that I've built over the years. The care is apparent, and all I can say is thank you. Mom, I would not be here now without you. You've been the one to sit with me through every doctor's appointment and helped me through the toughest times with EOE. Although I struggle at times to convey my true feelings, I'm confident now in saying that I'm thankful for everything that you are to me. I love you. Dad, I want to thank you for taking the time to teach me, both literally and just by your example. You have always been supportive and patient with me, and I am forever grateful for that. It is because of you that I have such a love for the outdoors and for nature's beauty. I look forward to all of our hunting trips and general outdoor excursions in the future. Thank you for consistently having an answer for me when I'm confused or angry or whatever it is. I love you. Kaylee and Amber. We've grown very close over the years, and especially recently, I have loved the time that we've gotten to spend together. Whether it's providing commentary on a hilariously bad movie or just talking together, we always have a great time, and I look forward to doing that more in the future. I love you both very much, and I'm looking forward to when you guys have to do this. There have been times when I felt like I'm becoming stagnant in my relationship with God. But just like on that night, on my first real hunting trip, when I sat there for what felt like hours, not going anywhere, feeling as though it could not get any worse, even then, there was a positive outcome. My dad did eventually come back, and I felt safe at last. What I learned from that experience is that sometimes it's best to just stay put, especially when it's what we're told to do. If I had run to find my dad, I would have gotten more scared than ever, and I might have even gotten lost and caused a whole other problem. When it feels like we're becoming stagnant, maybe it's just because that's where God has us at the moment. I know that God does have a plan, and I have faith that His end for me is better than anything that I can orchestrate for myself. I've chosen to sing a song in this one.